Hello, my name is Robert Hope. Friends call me Bob Hope. I live in the small town called Heatonleigh Hole, located 5 miles northeast of the historic Durham city in the northeast of England. I would like to present now, live from the Black ADA studios in Schweinfurt, Germany, it's Lance, and the Global Detection Adventure Studios in Green Bay, Wisconsin, United States of America, it's Dave. And this is the Global Detection Adventures podcast. Enjoy.
Well, hello everybody. My name is Lance, and with me as usual, sitting on top of a football stadium somewhere in a state that's well known for cheese, is my co-host and co-compadre, Dave.
What's up, Lance? Crackling Lance. Starting up again. Well, actually, I'm not high atop Lambeau Field atrium today. Our wireless internet connection got fried by a lightning bolt yesterday. So actually, right now, I'm sitting in a janitorial closet of Uncle Paul's Pancake Palace Emporium Eatery. Let's say that fast once.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Try and say that 3 times fast.
Anyways, wait, hold on a second, Lance.
Yeah?
No, top shelf. A little over to the right. There you go. Yeah, take it all. Oh, really? Oh, really? Take some home to the kids. All right. All right, Lance, sorry about that. Some old lady came in. She just wanted to borrow some toilet paper. You know, one day you're on top of the world. The next thing you know, you're sitting in a janitor's closet talking to a mop and mixing ammonia and bleach together. But what are you going to do? Sometimes is life throws you a curveball, and then what are you going to do?
Yeah, I know. Just think it's just crazy, you know, we're broadcasting a week later than normal because of a thunderstorm that was rolling over me last weekend. And then the day before we go live on your side of that world, a thunderstorm knocks out all your guys' internet. It's just going crazy.
It's an amazing lightning storm. It was just going across horizontally across the whole sky. It was a pretty cool storm though, but unfortunately, we have some AT&T and Time Warner to come on over and take care of the mess. But I'm glad to be here. You're doing fine. I see you were out this morning doing a football game, announcing your amateur league over there in Germany.
Oh yeah, with the Schweinfurt Ball Bearings, they just totally dominated, complete shutout, 64-0 before the other team threw in the towel. We didn't even play full time. They actually threw in the towel.
Right in the middle of the field, just throw their towels in.
It was a really dirty yellow one.
So here in America, we just play until the final whistle goes. Yeah, there's no love rule there. But anyway, I was just searching across the web. Did you see that there's a Washington quarter, 1970, out there somewhere? I don't know, might be a few out there, worth $35,000.
I saw some post about that this last week. I can't remember exactly where I saw that at.
Well, what happened is they struck over a Canadian 1941 quarter. And so if you look on your 1971 quarter, flip it over to the back, the non-Washington face side, and at the bottom it'll say $quarter. And right above the D, right between the dollar sign, quarter, which is the R and the D of the dollar, the word there, you'll see a 1941, very small. And if you got one of those, you got yourself $35,000.
Holy cow. Was that a silver print?
Huh?
Was it a silver?
It was the quarter, I don't know if the Canadian quarters are silver. I think maybe they're half silver. 50% silver, the Canadian money. But if it was 1941, I'm sure there was silver then. So I don't know how it got mixed up. Maybe they just used some of their metal. I don't know the whole story, but I've been going through all my quarters now. So if I see a 1970, I get pretty happy. Sometimes, you're looking up for all that silver quarter, 1964 and older.
I might have to look through some of mine.
Check some of my change out there.
But you know what it probably was? It was probably somebody at the Treasury was like, you know what, let me do something for Canada and actually make their money worth something.
There goes all our Canadian listeners. All right, guys, we'll see you back up north. All right.
Apologize to all our friends to the north.
Oh, man, you're old.
No, thank you. Did I really just date myself?
Oh, you sure did. Was it Second City? What do they have?
Yeah, Second City. What were the two guys?
I don't know.
I can't even remember their names. Yeah, the hockey fans.
Anyways, we got a good show for you guys today. We actually have two guests. Lance actually is going to be one of our guests. And Lance, you want to talk about our second guest?
The second guest is a fellow ex-veteran. He was in Northern Ireland in the late 70s, and his name is Ronald Bennett, so he's in England right now, standing by. We'll be bringing him in a little bit. But both he and I suffer from late onset PTSD, so we'll be going over that and talking exactly what people can look for in their loved ones and friends when they might consider or think that somebody is suffering from some kind of traumatic disorder. So we'll be covering all the bases on that one and let everybody know exactly what that is.
Right. Also, if you guys are listening out there, I am definitely giving away that Shovel Draper mini shovel hook today. And there's no questions. All you have to do is leave a comment during the show. And if there's 5 people that leave comments, I'll pick a number from 1 to 5 at the end of the show, but randomly, and you will be assigned a number, and that shovel hook is going to you. So we're going to get rid of that today. Not that it's something to get rid of. You should want it because it's really helpful to clip on your utility belt and use that as your metal detecting. Also, today the new best of comes out today, and we have a weekly best of that comes out, and we want to talk about that prize package.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a great prize package. Okay. We want to start off small and work our way up.
Obviously, let's go ahead and do that.
All right, we're going to start off with some GDA paraphernalia, which is going to be your patch. We'll have T-shirts, hats, GDA gloves, digging gloves. We'll start off with that. We'll also include in there one of our bags that most of our GDA members, or I should say that the Secret 10, use, and that is the MFH bag.
Yeah.
We'll get a shovel from Black Ada and a hand spade. I have a Ceph 6x8 double D coil. You guys can use that in your trashy areas. A Garrett carrot. And then, on top of that, you can also walk away with either an AT Pro or a MX Sport from White's.
This is amazing. This is one of the greatest gift or the greatest award packages that you can actually find out there anywhere.
Yeah, we don't just give away a little sticker for the 100th person that comes out. We want to really appreciate you guys, and to do that, all you have to do is post your finds. You're automatically entered once you make a post, and then we go through all the different posts and we base it on different things. The likes, the history, the age, the story, who found it, things like that. And then we choose our best stuff for the week, and you are automatically qualified to win that at the end of the year. So get those posts in, and you will be very happy you did if you are the one. And I'm not just going to do a randomizer thing and then just, that's it. It's also going to be more like at the end of the year, there'll probably be about 50 qualifiers, and we're going to narrow it down to 25, and then that down to 12 with the bye, and so on until we finally get a winner. So that's how we're going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's going to be something that'll come up at the end of the year. We'll announce exactly when the date's going to be, and we'll most likely by then we should be having our video podcast up and running, and Dave and I will actually announce and show everything both on audio and video podcast.
Yeah, sounds good. Oh, did we forget? Oh yeah, I don't know if I should mention this now. You know what? I already blew it. I'm going to mention it now. The GDA Awards.
Yep.
The Global Detection Adventure Awards. Now, it's still in the working. We still haven't decided when we're going to do it. It's going to be this year, but we are going to honor our group members with special awards for best find. We're also going to be I don't know, there's like 4, 5, 6 categories.
Yeah, and best find, humanitarian award basically comes into it as well. Most advanced most as far as video production, people who have grown in their video production. I got to get a name for this one as well. Mm-hmm. And there's also going to be, let me think, find of the year, and there's a couple more. We still have to flesh out all the details. We tried running it last year. Unfortunately, there was a lot of technical issues that happened, and but I'll get it. We'll get it running and everything running perfectly. It'll be like the Academy Awards of metal detecting.
Yeah, and we'll be on it'll be a special podcast feature of the GDA Awards, and you, not only do you walk away with a title, but you'll walk away with a GDA actually physical award that you can brag about and put it up on your mantle or over your bed, wherever you want to keep it.
I'm going to sleep with it if I win anything. I'm going to sleep, kick the wife out. We got a guest room. She can go sleep there.
Lance, you'll sleep with anything. Let's see. A little news. I don't know if you guys know, but remember Jerry King? He was on our podcast a few weeks back. Was it last?
It was the last episode. Yeah,
3 weeks, 4 weeks, in the last week.
Yeah, it was 3 weeks.
And he was still searching for his first silver coin, and he actually did it. A week later, it was a week after our show. He found his first silver coin. He found 1,816 different clad coins, but never a silver. And finally found 5 inches deep a 1944 Mercury dime. So I want to congratulations going out to Jerry for that find. I'm sure he's probably well over 2,000 coins by now.
Oh, he's got to be. But the other amazing part about this was only like 1 or 2 days after he had a pacemaker installed. And he just bucked up, got in his chair, and went out and metal detected with a brand new pacemaker in there.
Yeah, I'm sitting out there yesterday, 91-degree heat, complaining about, man, it's too hot and muggy in here. And this guy, he's out just got his heart ripped open, put a pacemaker in there, and then he's out there finding some good coinage. Yes. So congratulations, Jerry. Appreciate all your videos that you sent in to GDA, and you guys got to catch his videos and please subscribe to them. Also, new website out there. I don't know if you saw it, but BoyCountyMetalDetecting.com. That's their new website. They have an intimate group of members from their area in Texas. I guess it's Bowie County, Texas.
Yeah, and Bowie County.
And check out Garrett's. Garrett?
Randall.
Randall. There we go. Check out Randall's metal detecting store. He has a store now where he is selling detectors, and check him out and appreciate any kind of sponsorship that you can give him by just checking it out and maybe buying a few things off of Randall's site.
Yeah, I've actually been talking with Randall and his wife Sarah quite a bit. They run the Bowie County Metal Detectors group, which is actually a new hunting group as well. And they were both running into a problem that there's no place anywhere in their area that sells any kind of metal detector stuff. I think Randall told me that they had to drive almost 80 miles away in order to get any kind of stuff or order it online. So what he wanted to do is he wanted to go ahead and create something that was local, that people, not only in his group, but anybody in that area of Texas were able to get their metal detecting gear at a good place.
Yeah, you go to local stores and you find just stuff for kids. You don't really see anything major or anything that everybody kind of uses out here. So that's really good. And if you look at his site, he's got some really nice detectors out there that you can order from him online. Or so yeah, you definitely got to check it out. And just tell him GDA sent you. Maybe he'll give you some kind of cash deal.
Or else he's going to jack up the prices. Who knows?
Yeah, probably.
But the good thing is that I do know that he is selling Tesoro and Garrett for sure, and he's going to be bringing in more and more detectors as time goes by.
A couple of notes there. I don't know if you read one of the posts that John DeRosa, he was driving by, and he sees a sign that says for sale, and it was a Matchbox case. The Matchbox cars. So he says, it's free. So he stops and gets it. It's kind of a little torn, throws it in his car, brings it home. He notices that it's got a little weight to it. So when he opens it up, what does he see inside there?
Yeah.
Vintage Matchbox cars from the 60s and the 70s.
And as a toy collector, this is one of my wet dreams. This is truly one of those things that I wish could happen to me. Because, first of all, somebody put this box out there, and then, like you said, they had the sign on it where it just basically said free. And so he's like, okay, I'll just rummage through it, see what there is. And he's like, well, I find Matchbox cars, so I'll get the Matchbox case so I could put the stuff I find metal detecting in there. And lo and behold, I think last post he said he lost track of around $150 worth of cars, and he hadn't even gone onto the second row.
Yeah, I just he'll probably keep them anyways. I don't think he sells them if he's a collector. But yeah, it's just amazing. Is people just some people's trash is other people's treasure, and this one is definitely treasure. So you don't always have to dig it in the ground. So,
yeah. And as a collector, it's one of those things, you need to double check the toys you throw out because it's amazing. You would never think that a toy could be worth so much money, but there are toys from the 1980s that are worth thousands of dollars.
Also, I want to do a little congrats to Philip Camerlin. He scored his first V-nickel from you guys in different countries here in the United States. The V-nickel was the predecessor to the Buffalo nickel. Mm-hmm. And you're looking dates. I don't know what the earliest V-nickel is.
I can take a look and let you know right now. Yeah, it wasn't produced very many years.
Yeah, I got two V-nickels. One last year was at a 1906. And this year I got a 1897. So it's going to be older than that. I don't recall the earliest, but I guess I should have prepped more for the show if I can talk about V-nickels, right? But while you're looking up that, Lance, I just want to know how the voting is going between you and Stephen Ocker.
Well, the last time I checked, Stephen Ocker was actually ahead of me. It's not a landslide. But on Stephen Ocker's side, it was 9-6, I believe. I counted, and on ours, it was on my side, it was 3-2 or 4-3. I think it was 4-3 on my site. So slowly, Stephen Ocker is going up and taking over. But I can completely understand. I mean, he really did find something fantastic out there. That silver hat pin. I even voted for him on that one.
You voted for him?
Oh yeah, of course I voted for him.
I voted for you, Lance.
I should change my vote, but I'm not going to do that to Steve. Steve really deserves it, and he did.
He had a definitely. You guys both had some really cool finds there. But I haven't really officially put my vote in because of my internet problems. But how long is the voting going to go for before it's contested, or is it's?
I think it'll go for 1 week. It'll be next Friday, and then that'll be it. Because the Saturday, then the next one comes up. So we'll see.
All right. So I had a pretty good score this week.
Yeah.
Got myself a nice silver band with I thought it was a pretty decent looking diamond on top. Wasn't the greatest of cut diamonds, so it's not like a real expensive ring, but it is a real diamond. And on the side, it has a little, it looks like glass, but I'm not sure. Didn't really ask about that, but I was pretty excited. I was at a local park, a little park, and hit an 83. I figured it was a silver quarter because the depth of it was like 5.5 inches or so.
Wow.
And then when I started digging it up, I'm thinking, oh man, this is a freaking pull tab? How does it, what? Because, all I saw was the flat side. It was, hollow or whatever.
Mm.
And pulled it out and it was a ring. And then the first thing I thought, I go, oh, it's just probably a piece of, costume jewelry. And then I looked inside and it had a 925 reading on the silver. Took it home. Cleaned it up, and it's like, wow. And I really doubted that the diamond was real, and took that in, and it's real.
Oh wow!
So it's not a very expensive ring. The whole thing is probably going to worth about $300. But I was thinking, man, that diamond looks pretty big. I thought diamonds were a little bit more expensive, but it's kind of on the low end of the diamonds. But it's a nice score.
Yeah, I actually saw the photos of that when you posted it onto the GDA Facebook group, and it just kind of really amazed me. I've had one of those crazy weeks where I just haven't been able to respond much. I've been working, and when I get home, it's just been so physical this last week at work that when I get home, I just ended up crashing in the bed and just couldn't get up till about 7 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah, it's been same here. I mean, work is this is my busy season, so I don't even want to get into that because it's time to enjoy some metal detecting talk and just kind of forget what you really have to do and relax a little bit. But right after this, I'll probably go out and hit the park for maybe another couple hours. It's really nice outside.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll be headed up. Just want to let you guys know I'll be headed up north to Door County to do some metal detecting on a permission. It's a property that's over 100 years old. I've got one invite out right now. I'm able to take.
Well, Dave, are you still around? Well, this has been happening. Unfortunately, we got some storms that are coming in over the Atlantic, over North Ireland, and the internet connection's flying across the Atlantic through there. And so any of the problems that are going on right there, it's causing problems all across the internet. I'm going to be bringing Dave back in. But in the meantime, since we're on the accounts of metal detecting, I'd like to go ahead and just kind of bring up to Paul Brown, who was out metal detecting this week, and he happened to find something that really spoke to me, and I think a lot of people. He found a ring that was out there, which was fantastic, but this wasn't just any ring. This is the one ring to rule them all. This is actually the ring from Lord of the Rings, which I thought was kind of a funny find. Who knows where those hobbits dropped it on the way to Mordor, and there it is. He's found it over there. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Dave back into this. There he is.
Hey, well, he said I was going to lose you, and I did lose. So.
It's happening with those storms coming in over Northern Ireland. It's going to be one of those on and off things today. So,
yeah, you're going to probably lose me maybe one more time during the show, which maybe it's a good thing. And then the voice of our guest might be crackly too. So we're going to try to grin through this. So you want to take our break, and then we'll get back?
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. We'll go ahead and throw in our break, get a really nice message from our sponsor, from one of the greatest guys. Speaking of which, I'd like to go ahead and give a really huge shout out to Nathan and Matthew from the company Blackadder. They've really been some of the greatest people out there. So they've really pushed for us. So I'll go ahead and do that, and so I'll try and get Ron in here, and we'll cut out to a commercial. So talk to you in just a second, everybody.
Oh man, I've been out here metal detecting all day. I finally got the perfect signal, which was probably a gold brick or $1 million in coins, and my spade broke trying to dig the hole.
Has this ever happened to you? I'm pretty sure it has. With the Black 88 spades, you will never have that problem again. With reinforced welds and reinforced shafts, the Black 88 digging accessories are one of the best on the market, created by metal detectors for metal detectors. So make sure you visit their website at black88.com and purchase yourself one of their fantastic digging accessories.
Oh wow, this new spade is really tearing up the ground. Thanks, Black 88.
So visit black88.com. That's black88.com. The side effects of using the Black 88 spades are included but are not limited to addiction to metal detecting, digging holes easier, finding more relics, creating cleaner plugs, listening to the Global Detection Adventures podcast, making YouTube videos, watching V3I Sweeper episodes, watching Detecting Bavaria with Lance and Black 88.
The Black 88 question of the week. Help us come up with a fun and interesting set of questions to let listeners answer here in the Facebook group. The submitting name will be mentioned in the top answers and be read live on the show with the name of the person who submitted it.
All right, so we're having a hard time getting Ron Bennett to come back in. Not exactly sure what's going on over there.
Yeah, I can hear you now, Dave.
Oh, there he is. There he is. Welcome, Ron.
Welcome, Dave. Welcome, Lance, if you're still about.
We're still rounding about here. All right. Well, we have some really bad connections. Your voice sounds a little bit better now.
Yeah, definitely a lot better than it was on the pre-show.
Yeah, it dropped off a bit. When I was just listening to you, it cut out again.
Yeah, I think those storms going over Northern Ireland are affecting a lot more than we might even know.
All right. Well, let's get to the nitty gritty of the PTSD. For those who suffer from this disease, is a mental health disease. They'll probably hopefully appreciate what we're trying to do here, and also for those who are family members, wives, husbands, girlfriends, who are affected with someone that has PTSD. This is sort of trying to help bridge the gap between everybody. Both of Ron and Lance, they're both military personnel from the past. Lance, can you tell us what outfit you were in and how the years of your service?
Yeah, I was in the U.S. Army from 1989 till 2005. I spent multiple tours in Egypt, Bosnia, Kosovo, Macedonia, Iraq, and actually I was in Kosovo twice. And good 15 years in the U.S. military. So, been all over the world.
Ron, how about yourself?
I was in the British Army. I joined in 1974. That was boys' service. And then I went over to man's service and I came out in 1979 in the height for the Troubles in Northern Ireland.
Okay. And were you guys any... I was going to say... I want to say battles, wars were going on at the time. Were you guys on the front lines? What was your responsibility for?
I'll let Ron go first.
All right. I was on the crash team in Northern Ireland. That was with the doctor. I got called out to a number of serious incidents, bomb blasts, and basically the one that gave me the PTSD was I had to get someone to hospital and they died and they got shot, an RUC reservist constable. That was in Armagh, in Londonderry.
I was actually in 1999. I was in the second vehicle to cross into the cross the Kosovo border into Kosovo from Macedonia. From there, I spent just under 6 months in Kosovo, right at the outset of the of our units there. And then in 2003, I went with my airborne unit. We paratrooped, did a parachute insertion into northern Iraq in March of 2003. And so we weren't quite front lines. Special forces were in front of us, but we were seeing the after effects of the special forces push south.
Now, how did you recognize that you had this, and did you know what it was, and or you were just feeling different, or you were able to get a name to this PTSD, but how did you recognize that you had it? What were you feeling at the time?
Ron?
Right. Dave, it's really hard to explain, but I'll try and simplify it for your users. Basically, I had mine for 30 years. It never came out until I had an accident. Basically, in the British Army, I don't know what it's like when Lance served, but when I served, the attitude was, you've done your job and you just shut up and got on with it. You didn't discuss it, you just done it and got on with it. Do you know what I mean? And basically, there was no counselling like the police service get or the medical service, ambulance services. There's no counselling whatsoever. You just go and get drunk, and basically, you don't know you've got it. It's not something you know. It does change you, but it causes you problems along the way, and someone else, like your family member, could pick up on it. Do you know what I mean? My wife.
What were some of the changes? I mean, what were you feeling? I mean, anger. What kind of emotions? I mean,
you feel angry, and basically you get into a fight and flight syndrome. Basically, if someone challenges you, you either want to get out of the situation or you're going to fight. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And basically, you feel a lot of remorse and a lot of guilt. I felt a lot of guilt for what happened, which wasn't my fault. I never shot the person. He just happened to die, and basically the IRA shot him. And basically, what happened, I can explain to you what happened now, is that I had to get him to hospital. There was blood all in it. I can still smell the blood to this day. And basically, I was told as a young soldier to get out the ambulance and basically turn around, and his wife was there, and turn around and just comfort. And to this day, I feel so guilty about that I couldn't go up and say to her, look, your husband said this and he said that, and try and give her a bit of comfort. because she was pregnant. I can still see it to this day. And when my boss took him in and operated on him, he came out, he had blood all over him, and he said, no, he's gone. I had to let him go. Do you know what I mean? And if you're 20-year-old, as like I was explained to all these years later, you're not mature enough mentally. Basically, you're still immature mentally. You're not actually, your emotions are not grown. So basically, anything you do, it is going to stay with you. And I got stuck in the past. I started drinking as probably Lance did. I started like making an arse of myself, really, and like fighting and things like that, which isn't me. It's just a thing of it. And I'd argue with people, and basically, you keep yourself to yourself. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. So you were more angry than. Was that?
Yeah,
is that a part of is that a part of depression, or is that just being angry and frustrated and just
you don't
everything?
know what's going on with yourself. You don't understand in yourself what's going on because you don't realise you've got the problem. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's basically, I was getting it. I'm not the same person then as I am now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
because I've had CBT treatment, right? But at the time when you're going for it, you don't know you've got it. It's just, it's mentally changing. You get depressed because you're feeling guilty all the time about someone dying or some horrific incident, which you wouldn't normally see if you're in Civvy Street. You're not, as a human being, we're not programmed to keep going through horrific incidents. Do you know what I mean? And having to deal with traumatic situations. And I can still go through the actual events of the day, and it happens all the time. Do you know what I mean? And basically, with what happened what made me feel really guilty was after my boss came out and said to me, look, I've had to let him go, the woman was sitting down, his wife was sitting down, and she was pregnant, and she was a tall woman, about 6 foot, 5'11" or something, with long black hair, and she had a black and white dress on, and you could tell she was pregnant. I was going to go up to her and say to her, like, I said, excuse me, miss, and I was just about to say, look, can I speak to you? And I was going to say to her, I'm really sorry about your husband. But there was 2 special constables, like special branch constables from the Irish police, and they said, you've done an F enough. Mm. And that stopped me in my tracks, and that's what I felt angry. I thought, well, what have I done? I'm just, you know what I mean? And then they walked away laughing. And I thought, you know what I mean? And that really, really did make me angry. At first, I was stunned, because I can remember going back in the ambulance with my boss, and we never talked. We basically, you could tell it was like an eerie silence in the back of that ambulance. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And basically, it was weird. But after that happened, I used to go and get drunk. Well, David told you the same. I went to the NAFI, or you go to the PX bar, and I basically went and got drunk. And basically, you just go and drink and drink and drink and drink. And because drink safety catch comes off, and then you end up getting in trouble. Do you know what I mean? Fighting or whatever. And basically, it's because you feel guilty and angry, but you don't know why you feel guilty and angry at the time.
So this is a specific incident that happened to you. In your case,
I had a couple of incidents. I had an incident where we was on exercise in Saltown, and basically I got called out because I was on duty at the time, and basically we was on exercise, but we were stood down for the weekend. But I was, because I was single, I got lumbered to stand to duty, medic, you know what I mean? The rest of them went home to Islone or Aymer or Paderborn, wherever we were. Basically, a guy with tank regiment, it was an engineer, and he slipped down the bank and he went underneath the wheels of a Chieftain tank, and it crushed him in the middle. He was still alive. So I got called out to that because I was the nearest one to it. I got called out to it, and basically before the doctor come, and I was talking to him, but as soon as they released the pressure of the tank track, he was going to bleed to death straight away, and that was the only thing that was keeping him alive. But you couldn't say that to him. You've got to stand there. You know that's happening, and you've got to talk to someone and comfort them. Do you know what I mean? And I had other things where I'd go and pull, it was in Armagh, and I'd go and pull dead bodies out of a bar that got blown up by the IRA, do you know what I mean? And all this, like David tell you, all this plays on your mind. You don't realise it at the time, but it does change you. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Lance, what was there anything specific in
Yeah,
your case?
there was actually a couple different things that affected me. It was Kosovo back in '99. I can still remember it, and Ron is right on. There's certain events that happen during your career, and I'd like to actually point out Randall is listening right now, and it's not just soldiers, it's firefighters, it's policemen, it's even people that get in car accidents. But for us, the two of us are both ex-military, and we both were in situations. My first incident was in Kosovo back in '99, and this was one of those ones that'll always stick in my head. There was a curfew in the area that after darkness everybody needed to stay home, no driving around at the time. And one night late, it was about 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, a car comes running at our checkpoint, and we go full weapons ready, and it comes to a screeching halt. And it turns out that the car was full of a mother, father, a daughter, and the father of the father were inside the car. And they were coming back from a wedding, and they were running late and were trying to get back to their town. And what had happened is that their car had come under fire from one of the opposition forces that was probably a good 5 miles down the road, so we never heard the shots. And what had happened is that they had basically missed everybody in the front seat, but the people in the back seat, the grandfather was dead on scene. He had a shot to the head. The daughter was shot in the abdomen, but she ended up surviving. But it's one of those incidents that you can actually see it replay over and over in your head. When I walk up to that car, I can still remember that I walk up to the passenger side of the car as the squad leader that was on duty that day, that I had somebody else approach the driver because, if something happens, those are the ones that they're going to think are going to be the ones in charge. And then I looked in the back seat, and the scene that was in the back seat was one of those scenes that'll never leave your brain. I mean, I can't really explain it right now. But then the second effect was in 2003. It was June 2003, the day exactly, I can't remember. It was late June. We were approaching the 4th of July. It was about 1:40 in the morning. I had given up the couch that I was sleeping on in the safe house that we were at in Iraq for one of the soldiers who decided he wanted to stay up and play a role-playing game with the other soldiers after coming in off patrol. So I was like, okay, then you can just play with them, sleep on the couch because it was right there in the safe house, and I'll go sleep in the closet. Don't bring up anything about that, Dave. And so I was in the closet, and it was a good 20, 30 minutes later, probably about 2:20 in the morning, I had just dozed off because I was having a hard time trying to sleep. I don't know why I couldn't go to sleep that day. But then about 20 minutes later, there was the most horrendous explosion that I've ever heard in my life. And then it was followed by the sound of glass just hitting the floor. I mean, if you think of it, it's like somebody drove a semi-truck into your building that you're in, and then it seemed like an hour later, the sound of just glass falling onto the floor. And then there was a blood-curdling scream that I will never forget from this day. What had happened is that our safe house had come under attack in northern Iraq. We were in the city of Kirkuk, Iraq. And 3 guys that had RPGs. 2 of them had a rocket-propelled grenade on their shoulder, and they fired in succession 3 rounds. So the first guy fired, the first one missed, the second guy fired, the second one missed, and the third one happened to be a direct hit onto the balcony. And it was an anti-tank round, so it exploded as it hit the balcony, but it penetrated the concrete, went into the building, ricocheted off a wall and then hit my soldier who was laying on the couch directly in the legs, ripping both legs off of him before it finally flew up and just ended up bouncing around inside. It's, again, one of those scenes that'll never leave your mind. You know, I finally was able to throw pants on and get out of that closet, and all I see are these tracks from where he rolled off the couch onto the floor and pulled himself into the back bedroom. And like Ron said, it's one of those things that as it happens and as it goes, and as you're a soldier, you don't think about it. You're trained for exactly these kind of things. You are a soldier. You are a bred and trained killer. And this is exactly the kind of thing that you need to be ready for. But there's nothing that can prepare you for it when it actually does happen. Some people can handle it better mentally than other people, and some people it hits you and it's done. Your brain slowly devolves into something else.
Did unlike Ron, you know, we're actually not only did nobody talk to him, but they are actually just really insensitive to him. Did anyone after the event? Did they have somebody in the military that would come and talk to you about the event, just to make sure that mentally you were still stable, or what happened?
No, not at all. I mean, it was the driver of my squad, so he was the guy that drove my Humvee, and I've always felt guilty for being the one to allow him to sleep on the couch, because, I mean, 20 minutes earlier it would have been me laying on that couch, and I would have probably been more fine with that than, you know, see him go through life with prosthetics on both his legs, one above the knee and the other one below the knee. And but it's one of those things that nobody came and talked to us. It was, you suck it up and drive on, continue mission. I ended up not being able to sleep for about 4.5 days. I think 4.5 days later, I think I had accumulated maybe 3 hours of sleep. I couldn't sleep anymore, and the chain of command noticed, and they sent me back to work on the main base that we were stationed out of there in town.
Well, for both of you guys, how soon after, or were you out of the military before you noticed changes being made in your life mentally? Or was it something that just kind of slowly crept up on you?
Yeah, well, I know for me, it was everything came to a boiling point in 2012. I saw nothing happening. There was no way for me to see anything going on. And then in 2012, I had a complete emotional breakdown. It almost cost me my wife. It almost cost me my family. I almost completely left everything. And that's when I noticed that something had to be going on. So that's when I talked to my wife. I only noticed it at one point, and that was it.
That's the same as me, Dave. Can I just say that when the incident happened, especially that incident with the RUC constable, after that I was on 4 days R&R, and I came home to the UK for my 4 days R&R, and basically for the whole of that 4 days and for a week before, I just felt numb. Do you know what I mean? I just felt numb. I just go out and want to get drunk, and I just didn't feel emotion. I felt emotionally detached from myself, if that's the right word. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't understand it because I was so young. But like Lance said, I had exactly the same thing, because I can understand where he's coming from, because I had an incident about 3 years ago where I had a breakdown, but mine took 30 years to get diagnosed. And basically, I had a breakdown. I nearly lost my wife and family over it. And basically, it's when I went and I knew something was happening. I went to see a psychologist, and I thought I was back in Northern Ireland. I had flashbacks, and basically it was basically, I then got put through to a CBT training, and I found out then, 30 years afterwards, that I had a lot of guilt towards the incident, and I had to talk about it to get it out in the open.
What was the perception? I mean, what was your family going through for both you guys when this was happening? Obviously, you didn't know what was going on with you. They didn't know what was going on with you. They just saw you becoming detached, maybe a little bit more angry, frustrated, depressed. My
daughter says the rest thing. She says to me, it was like walking around. It was like you walking around you on eggshells because you're very fiery all the time. The slightest thing, and you'd lose it. Do you know what I mean? And you'd lose it big time. Where I don't do that now. Do you know what I mean? Because I've got a better understanding of my condition. But at the time when you don't, you go from 0 to 100. It might take a couple of hours to come down. See what I mean? And that's the danger point in it.
And
how was your wife?
Yeah,
Lance.
For me, it was basically my complete symptoms. Now that I look back at it on hindsight, I became somebody completely different, somebody who I totally wasn't. I was trying to lose myself into making people accept me more. I didn't have anger issues, so to say. I mean, PTSD affects everybody slightly different. For me, I was trying to hide who I truly was. I was losing myself in, I was working at heavy metal festivals here in Germany, so I was able to go into that. I was working weekends at a local rock and roll bar where I was, the bartender backstage, and then I created these personas of this person who was able to hide myself as who I really was, so I didn't have to deal with myself in real life. Imagine it this way. Remember that game where you push the playing board down and you have like 50 puzzle pieces that all have different shapes, and you have like a minute and a half that you have to get all these pieces back into the board before the timer runs out and the board springs up and all the pieces fly out? Well,
it sounds like a fun game. No.
I think it was called Aggravation or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was called. And now imagine each one of those pieces that you have to place back in there are your emotional states. You know, one is love, one is disgust, one is hate, one is envy, but what had happened is the board had sprung and all those pieces had flown back out. And as PTSD affects you, you're trying to place those pieces back in place, but you're putting them in the wrong shape, if that makes sense. You're placing the star, the star represents love, and you're placing that in the circle, which represents disgust. So nothing was working with me. All these emotions were completely topsy-turvy, and it came down to a point that I literally asked my wife if she still loved me and how she knew it. Because I didn't know. I didn't know if I loved my wife anymore. It came down to that point. And it was from that moment on that we were able to work forward.
Oh. Yeah, I think Lance, Dave, rather, I think it comes down to this. If you can't love yourself, you can't love other people. And it's a very true saying, and it actually works. Like, PTSD now to me is like, because I understand it, is like I class it as wearing an overcoat that you get comfortable in. Do you know what I mean? And it's like when you get it, you don't know you've got it because it becomes part of you. It's like putting an overcoat on and not taking it off, sort of thing. I don't know whether Lance feels the same, but that's how I felt. That's how I felt in hindsight now with it, and that's the only way I can sum it up. It's always with me. It's like the old jacket that you put on that you never want to get rid of.
Yeah, you didn't. It's kind of, even for me, it was more of a fact that I didn't even realize that I put the jacket on, and yeah, so that's how it was for me.
So this isn't incurable, but how do you guys? Do you use anything to control it? Is medication, therapy? What what are some of the ways that you can control?
Well, it's highly recommended. Yeah, go ahead, Ron. Go ahead.
All right. What I do is I had an incident quite recently where, because I can control it now, I saw a soldier. He was from Afghanistan and he got blown up and he was on the streets. And basically, and because of what I was doing at the time, I was dealing with issues for people with disabilities and also with the local council, and also I was basically, it was coming up to Remembrance Day and everything came to a head sort of thing. So I knew I just had to go back. I went back and had some CBT training again to basically grounding techniques. But saying that, I'm on sertraline, and that's to control at night time, I take it, as to control the nightmares and the flashbacks at night. And I find with me, it does help. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How about you, Lance?
With me, it was, for me, I'm really trying to find a therapist over here that would really be able to help me out in English, because for me trying to communicate and explain everything to them in German, I think I'm just going to lose everything in translation. But my greatest asset over here is my wife. With her, I'm able to talk, and she listens and gives her insights. One of the other greatest thing that I did, because I suffered, once I realized what was going on, I had a huge amount of depression. There were even times when I stood on the balcony of my apartment and looked down and thought, it only takes 1 second. It would take me 1 second. And once I realized that the depression had taken over me so much, I started creating a day book, basically a kind of a diary, where I would write my feelings that I was having that day into the book, so that the next day I could look back and see how I was feeling that day and how I could work on resolving that issue that I was having. And that was one of the things that I was doing. And then being able to talk to my wife was probably one of the greatest things that I was able to do. Well,
the reason why we brought you both on the show today is, this is actually a metal detecting podcast, and both of you are metal detectorists and seem to use this hobby as a sort of therapy. Lance, why don't you kind of explain what how metal detecting helps you cope with PTSD?
One of the things that I noticed with metal detecting, kind of like fishing, I remember right after my breakdown, I went back to the United States and visited my father in Washington State, and we went fishing. And I realized that I had such a great time. It was such a kind of a release, emotional and mental release, just to be able to sit, contemplate, and just not have to worry about anything around me for that little bit of time. And I was like, well, I can't really afford to get my license over here in Germany, which can come up to about 1,500 euro, which is close to $1,700, just to be able to get your fishing license over here. So what was something I could do? And that's when I ran into people like Deep Digger Dan or the TV series Diggers, and I was like, that's something I could get into. It gets me out there alone into the wild, which I've always loved, being out in the woodlands and everything else. And I picked up a cheap metal detector with my son, Philip, which you've seen in the last couple of videos with me, and actually just started forcing myself to go out there and just enjoy the aloneness of being out there, a place where I can reflect, contemplate, and move forward with my own mental being, I guess you could say. It's truly right. More mentally healing than you could even imagine.
Yeah, I'll say the same as what Lance said. I basically, a few years ago, I had an accident, or I had PTSD, I had an accident, And basically, while I was recuperating, I'd always loved history. So while I was recuperating, I started to watch videos on YouTube. And a couple of people I watched was Digger Dan. And then basically, I found this strange lady, and she'll be laughing now. It was Digger Dawn and Twig the Dig, who I now have got a lot of time for because I'm part of their group. And basically, I went out like Lance did. I bought a Fisher F2, just a cheap one, because I didn't know whether I'd like the hobby. I just thought I'd like that. And I'm lucky, Ryan, because I know a lot of farmers, so I'm quite able to get permissions, and so as friends of friends. So basically, I got a permission to go, and I just done it. And I found, like, I find it, when I'm out there on my own, and it's just me and a metal detector and me out in the elements, it's like yoga, really. It's a tranquil feeling because you've got the birds tweeting and you've got nice setting and you're out in the countryside and you're away from everybody, and it is very, very peaceful. And I miss it when I don't go once a week. I actually miss it, and I actually want to go. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because that's like my time.
Well, this is probably one of the greatest hobbies because, like you say, I love going early in the morning. I mean, if I can be up when the sun's up, it's still cool out. There's nobody around, and you have your headphones on, and you're focused on your metal detector and the sounds that it's making, and you forget about everything. You're just focused on one thing, and it's just a really relaxing time. You're definitely getting a lot of exercise. One, with your walking. Two, with a bunch of knee bends. You're digging, using your trowel. And if you're like me, I dig maybe 200 targets every time I go out. So how many times up and down you're going and you're using your shovel. But it's, yeah, like you say, it's very tranquil. And I could see exactly what you guys are talking about, how it helps you just get into a better frame of mind.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it over here, both he and I in Europe, and we're out in these fields or these farmers' fields, and like me, if you see in my last video, just being out there, just almost totally isolated from anything. It was one of the best feelings that you can have, and it really calms the nerves. It calms you down from the inside out.
Well, another effect too is it excites you too. You know, you think about, you know, you're going to go out and what you're going to find, and you never know what you're going to find, and you can't wait to get to the site, and then the excitement if you do find something good and you want to share it with somebody else, and with your videos or your posts, and you get feedback from people, and you're making friends. So. Like I said, it's a great hobby, and I'm glad it's working.
Anything else? They're not referring. Actually, might be suffering it. Most of these posts and everything else are for the loved ones of somebody who may be showing signs about it, so that they know what to look for in their loved ones, their family members, their co-workers, and everything else. That they might be able to help this person get assistance in any way. Some of the things that you need to look out for. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, can I just say, Dave, that in the UK, basically, if anyone, well, it's the loved ones really notice it and they need help, because they're just as much as victim as what the person is with it, if not more so, because they're living with the chaoticness of it and what it does to the person that's changed it. It's not the same person as they met before they had it. And basically, they can go to combat stress. I would say get in touch with combat stress or SAFA or someone like that, because they have got outreach teams in the UK, and they will come and they will help the families, and but they need someone to make contact before they can get involved.
Yeah, definitely. They need to also keep an eye out. There's certain reoccurring systems, including fearful thoughts, flashbacks, bad dreams, There's also avoidance symptoms, which is the body having difficulty remembering a traumatic event or the traumatic event, avoiding reminders of the experience that might have happened to them, avoiding places, objects, and then there's also what's called the hyperarousal syndromes, which are a lot of the things I do suffer from as well, which includes the feeling tense all the time, and then the startling by sudden noises. That's one of the things that affects me really bad. I can't be around like a suddenly loud noise, like somebody dropping a pallet onto the floor. But for the U.S. listeners, if you think somebody you know or you yourself is being affected, just make sure you go to the VA website. They've got all the answers on where you can get help, and it's just va.gov, and then just do a search on PTSD, and that's all you have to do.
Great information, guys. I really appreciate Lance, you sharing your story. Also, Ron, for coming on today and sharing your stories. I hope in the near future, and you guys are getting the help that you guys need, and be able to control this, and for your sake and for your family's sake. Ron, I appreciate you coming on today. We're going to be wrapping the show up pretty soon here.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, if you got any...
Before I go, I've now started doing videos, basically, on YouTube, and it's Cambridge Digger.
Cambridge Digger.
Cambridge Digger.
Cambridge
Digger. Digger, as in Digger Dawn. Cambridge Digger.
Cambridge Digger.
I'll make sure that we share
what
that.
About you? Lance, why don't you share your you got a YouTube channel too?
Yeah,
Lance?
it's Detecting Bavaria. Yeah, Detecting Bavaria with Lance and Black Ada. It's a little complicated on it, but anybody who's part of the Global Detection Adventures Facebook page, whenever I make a video, it gets posted on there right away. You can find me through there as well. Just look for Global Detection Adventures on Facebook, and you should find my videos really easy.
All right, Ron, any final points you want to make before we
I'd just like to say before we go that if anyone does know somebody, or if anyone's father or something, now I know now that I could see it in my World War. I could actually see that he had post-traumatic stress disorder, but anyway, then it wasn't talked about, then it wasn't discussed. But if you know your family member's been in the services and they have what me and Lance have got, or some of the things you can finger and say, yeah, that's it. I don't think they have actually pointed me to it. Please go and do something for yourself and also for the person that's suffering it, because they might not know.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
yeah.
Okay, good.
All right, Ron, we really appreciate you coming on today with us, and just sharing your story with our listeners. Hopefully, we'll have you back, and we'll be just talking about some metal detecting, some of your great finds, and some of your videos and things like that.
Yeah, so whenever you want, I will surely come on. So it's been a pleasure.
All right. Thank you very much, Ron.
No problem.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. So
we had a little technical difficulties towards the end. Ron was breaking up a little bit, and Lance, we're having some Skype problems because of the weather.
Yeah, I think Northern Ireland is really affecting the English listeners. I was watching our recording software, so if they were having any issues, make sure you download the recording at our Spreaker website. I'll make sure to post a link on the Facebook group right after we get done here. You can download it, and you should have absolutely no audio issues whatsoever. It should be absolutely no problem. And if you have iTunes, you can get our podcast for free on iTunes just by typing in Global Detection Adventures. It'll come up. You'll see the podcast on there. Just click on there and you can download the episode for free on there as well.
All right, Lance, before we wrap it up, do you any last points? You already had any thoughts about our next show, or who's coming on next week?
Next week is going to be Tommy Decker. He's from Chicago. He's an urban metal detector. So he's going to be giving us hints and tips and tricks and everything else how to metal detect in a city.
Yeah, I what he does, it takes some cojones. Even though it is legal to do what he's doing, because it's city property where he does curb strips, I still feel funny about doing it because you're actually still in front of somebody's house. And I always have that feeling in the back of my head that, somebody's going to come out and be mad. And that's the last thing I want.
Yeah, and I know a lot of times, you know how there's that grassy area that's between a street that goes one way in one direction and one way in another? And I know he does that grassy strip quite a bit, too.
Yeah. I mean, I can see the commercial areas where he does, but, you go out to have fun and to enjoy it, and I don't like that feeling of in the back of my mind or back of my head that somebody's going to come out and start yelling at you.
Yeah, well,
so that's probably one of the reasons why I stay away from some of those. But I had plans to go down to Chicago and actually meet up with him and do some detecting, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to get down there. It's been really busy, but I got the invite. So, but one of these weeks I might get down there and meet him up and do some detecting with him.
I think it'll be really great actually being able to hear, his input on the whole kind of urban metal detecting as well, because it's one of those things that I never thought of. I mean, in my city, the town where I'm at right now, I cannot metal detect within the city limits whatsoever. It's all considered a protected area. And plus they're worried about bombs, which I think is rather odd. Somebody with a metal detector should be able to find bombs from World War II, but, I guess let them use a backhoe to get it up.
Well, where our older neighborhoods are fine. You go downtown Green Bay, and even though it's an old downtown, there's no grass. They cut that all out, and it's all cement now. Sidewalks or curbs, so there's really not many. A couple of vacant lots, but there's so much fill in there. It's just really frustrating to do any kind of detecting there. But suffice to say, I'm still going out right after this show and hopefully maybe get a few more hours in. I was out this morning and I had about an hour and a half before my battery went. I didn't have time enough to charge it, but I knew I wasn't going to be out that long, so I knew it was going to probably go at any time now. But it's got full charge on there now, so maybe get another couple hours in before I head home.
Yeah, I think my next time that I'm going to be able to get out is going to be next Saturday, maybe Sunday. I think it's actually Sunday. So, hopefully I'll be out next Sunday, so I should be able to get a video out there for everybody to watch.
Yeah, next Sunday's Father's Day, so that's what I'm going to be doing.
Oh, that's right. So we got a special Father's Day episode with 3 American Yanks talking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to head out and do some detecting early in the morning, and then I got a graduation party to go to in the afternoon. So hopefully it's a really nice day.
Yeah,
any shout-outs you want to do today? Did you have anybody you want to do some shout-outs to?
Well, obviously, I want to give a really big special shout out to our co-admin on the GDA group, Robert Hope, who's been doing a fantastic job. Just got out this last week from the hospital. He had surgery done, and I just want to personally wish him, and I know Dave, you do as well. I want to wish him speedy and healthy recovery, and he's really looking forward to getting out metal detecting again, which he hasn't been able to do for quite some time because of his issues that he's had. So he might be able to get back out in the next 8 weeks.
So did he do something with his back?
He had a double hernia, is what.
Oh,
yeah.
Boy.
And it's one of those things that's been affecting him for quite a while, and they were finally able to get him in, and so he had some slight complications from that, but everything's now recovering fine, and the doctors have given him a really good prognosis, and then he should be back out and about and finally swinging a coil, I believe, after 1.5 years of waiting for the first time in the next 8 weeks.
Wow, that's great. Well, hope a speedy recovery to you, Bob. I would like to give a shout out to all the GDA members out there, and we appreciate all your input and your posts, your videos that you send to our Facebook group. Really enjoy watching them and seeing your finds. It's a great thing to go to every time I come home from work. One of the first things I do is I get on my computer and go to our Global Detection Adventure Facebook page and see all the great new finds and videos. So if you're a member, why don't you just let your friends know if they're into metal detecting. It's probably one of the better sites out there as far as groups, because we don't just concentrate on one area. We're actually global, and we hit many countries. And if you'll see that so you get to meet people from all over the world.
Yep.
And even though if you don't speak the language, when you're watching their videos, you know what they're doing, and you still get excited watching them.
Yeah, and that's one of the great things. And we have multiple days during the week for anybody that's new as well. So Art Tuesday is one of the more popular ones. We have an artist on the group that is absolutely unbelievable. I wish I could even match him. I missed it, unfortunately, this week myself due to work. But Brian's been out there, and I believe it's Brian. He's just been really...
Terry?
Terry, thank you. Terry Bernard. Yeah, he's one of the most fantastic artists I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it's funny, too, because I have a cousin that's down in Tennessee and actually knows Terry.
Oh, really?
And he's not even in our group. And he actually wanted to, I don't know if he did, he was going to buy a painting from Terry. So...
Yeah, I was going to.
Small world.
I was going to buy his submission for Tuesday this week, but unfortunately, funding is a little short this month, and so I wasn't able to do it. But
Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, the Muhammad Ali. I really liked that one.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's it from me over here.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up here so I can go out and have some fun. Not that this wasn't fun.
It's always fun talking with you, Dave.
Very heavy subject today. But there's some things that, we like to get out there, even though it's not metal detecting related. It is sort of ties everything into what we're trying to accomplish here. Yeah. So from me
and from me,
we will see you next week with Tommy Decker.
All right,
legend, urban detector.
All right,
guys.
Well, then, good luck and happy hunting, everybody. We'll see you in exactly 7 days. This has been a production of the GDA Podcast Network.